أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا الممجد وبشيرنا المصدق المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد بالقاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد
وعلى آل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الصادقين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين وحجته على الخلائق أجمعين. أما بعد، فقد قال رسول الله: إن الحسين المصباح الهدى والسفينة النجاة. صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد
تأجيل ظهور إمام के लिए एक नरस.
اللهم صل على محمد.
As you all know, this majlis is for the Ravangi, the departure of Imam Hussain from Medina, and the shahadat of our seventh Imam, Imam Musa al-Kazim, salawatu wa salamu alayhi.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
The topic which I picked for this majlis is an examination of the words of the Prophet when he says that Hussain, inna al-Hussain misbahul huda was-safinatun najat, कि हुसैन हिदायत का चराग है और नजात की कश्ती है. That he is the lamp of guidance and the ark of salvation. And the first point to note about this hadith of the Prophet is that this is not only the hadith of the Prophet, but rather these are the words of Allah. It's narrated from Sheikh Saduq, Rais al-Mu'addidin, which they call him. He narrates from Imam al-Hussain. Imam al-Hussain says that one day I was in Masjid al-Nabawi with my grandfather. And I went and I sat next to my grandfather. And when I sat next to him, he looked at me. When he looked at me, he said something. He said, Marhaba bika ya Aba Abdullah. Welcome ya Aba Abdullah. Wa ya zinu samawati wal arzeen. That you are the zenith for the earth and for the sky. At that moment, there was a companion who was sitting next to Rasulullah. His name was Ka'b ibn Ubay. Ka'b ibn Ubay, he asked Rasulullah that, "O Rasulullah, how can someone besides you be a zenith for the earth and the sky? How is this possible?" Rasulullah, he looks at Ka'b, he says, "Ya Ka'b." He says, "Ya Ka'b, that the position of Hussain is greater in the skies than on the earth." And then he says something interesting. Rasulullah says, فَإِنَّهُ لَمَكْتُوبٌ عَنْ يَمِينِ عَرْشِ اللَّهِ. Rasulullah says that on the night of Miraj, and I'm specifically mentioning the story because the night of Miraj just passed a few nights ago. He says that when I went on the night of Miraj, there came this point where not even Jibreel could go forward. Because Jibreel, he said that if I go more than a nail's length past this point, I will be burnt. After this point, I kept going. And then when I went, I got closer and closer to the Arsh of Allah. And when I got closer towards the Arsh of Allah, on the right side of the Arsh, I saw the word Hussain, Misbah al-Huda, wa Hussain Safinatun Najat written on the Arsh of Allah. That these words, they're not just the hadith of the Prophet, but they're the words of Allah which are written on His Arsh. Now when you look at this hadith, a question comes up, that there's another hadith which is similar towards this, in which the Prophet says, مَثَلُ عَالَ بَيْتِي فِي أُمَّتِي كَمَثْلِ سَفِينَةٍ نُومًا رَكِبَهَا نَجَا وَمَنْ تَقَلُّفْ عَنْهَا حَلَكَ. that मेरी अहले बैत की मिसाल नूह की कश्ती जैसी है, जो इन पर सवार हो गया वो नजात पाएगा और जो इनसे हट गया वो हलाक हो जाएगा.
बेशक बेशक सुभान अल्लाह.
That the example of my Ahlul Bayt is like the Ark of Noah. Now the question is, over here the Prophet is saying that the entire Ahlul Bayt are like the Ark of Noah. But over here he's saying that Hussain is the Ark of salvation. Do these contradict? Isme kuch ikhtilaf hai. And the answer to that was given by our sixth Imam, Imam Jafar as-Sadiq. One day a man, he came to Imam as-Sadiq and he said, "Oh Imam as-Sadiq, is it true that your grandfather Rasulullah said that the example of the Ahlul Bayt is like the Ark of Noah?" He replied, "It's true." Then he asked, "Isn't it also true that he said that Hussain is the lamp of guidance and he's the Ark of salvation?" On one side, her grandfather said the entire Ahlul Bayt, and the other side, he's saying only Hussain. Listen to the reply of Imam as-Sadiq. Imam as-Sadiq says, "Kulluna sufunun najat." कि हम सब नजात की कश्ती हैं. वलाकिन्न सफीनतुल हुसैन औसहा व असरा, मगर हुसैन की कश्ती सबसे बड़ी है और सबसे तेज वही चलती है. सुभान अल्लाह. That the Ark of Hussain, it's the largest and it's the one which moves the fastest. It's not because of Imam was being greater than any other Imam, but because of the unique circumstances in Karbala, more people can relate towards Imam al-Hussein. More people can come towards Imam al-Hussein. You look at history, when Imam's caravan left from Medina, people like Hur and Zuhair joined, but throughout history, thousands of Hur, thousands of Zuhair have joined the caravan of Imam al-Hussein. You know, there's a story about a man. There's a town in Iraq called Musayyab. There's two major rivers in Iraq. There's the Furat and then there's the Tigris. Where the Furat meets the Tigris, there's a town called Musayyab. There used to be this man. He would go on ziyarah towards Najaf from Musayyab. And every time he would go from Musayyab, there would be a man who wasn't a follower of Ahlul Bayt and he would make fun of him. Every time he would make fun of him. He said, "You're going to go visit this person who's dead?" He would always make fun of him. Until one time this man from Musayyab was going and he said something about Imam Ali which was disrespectful and he became hurt. This man who was the Shia, he replied to the other man by saying that when I go to Najaf, I will complain to my Imam about you. This man, he goes towards Najaf. He stands at the Zari of Amir al-Mu'mineen and he starts speaking. He starts saying to him that there's this man, he makes fun of you, he disrespects you, oh Mawla, punish him. And then he went. When he went to sleep that night, he saw Imam Ali in his dream. When he saw him in his dream, he started speaking to him. The Imam said to him, "Oh my follower, you made a request of me. But this man who you're complaining about, he has done us one favor for which I can't punish him." This man is shocked. He disrespects the Imam. He says, "Oh Imam, this man, he disrespects you. What favor could he have possibly done you to which you can't punish him?" He replies that one day he was sitting by the Furat. And he looked in towards the Furat. And when he looked into the Furat, he said these words. He said that Umar bin Saad was wrong for denying Hussein water, and one tear went down his eyes. The Imam told them, because of that one tear, I am not allowed to punish him. This is Hussein. Through that one tear, that man was changed. Now when the Shia, he goes back towards that man, he tells him, "This is what my Imam told me." He replies to him by saying that, "Wallah, when I shed that one tear, no one was there. I bear witness that Ali is the only Imam." That he is the successful Imam after the Prophet. Look how many have joined even after Karbala. That Imam al-Hussein, he doesn't need time. Rather, time needs Imam al-Hussein. Time moves with Imam al-Hussein. As the Shair says, "Kaun Hussain ibn Ali? Kaun Hussain ibn Ali? Kani kiski? Aaj tak ho na saki baat purani kiski." आज तक हो न सकी बात पुरानी किसकी, तजला-ए वक्त अपनाई रवानी किसकी, मौजे कौसर से मिली तश्न दहानी किसकी, तजला-ए वक्त अपनाई रवानी किसकी, मौजे कौसर से मेरी तश्न दहानी किसकी, लश्करे जुल्म को मिट्टी में मिलाया किसने, सो के मख्तल में दो आलम को जगाया किसने।
सुभान अल्लाह।
Now when you look at this hadith, the first part of this hadith says, Inna al-Hussain misbahul huda. That Hussain, he is the lamp of guidance, he is the light of guidance. But the question comes up, is that why does the Prophet compare Hussain to light? Why does he compare him to nur? This is something which the ulama have had many discussions about amongst themselves to answer this question. And there are three possible reasons that most of them bring forth as to why Imam al-Hussain was compared to Nur. The first of those three reasons is that Nur, it has this property that no matter how much you try, you cannot put out Nur. Nur can never be extinguished. Nur fana nahi hota hai. अब जितनी भी कोशिश कर लें, अब नूर को दबा नहीं सकते। अगर आपको इसका तजुर्बा करना है तो आप जाएं ज़मीन पर नूर के शोएं रख लें, और जब आप इसको रखेंगे, आप रोशनी को दबाने की कोशिश करने के लिए अपना हाथ उस पर रखते हैं। जब आप उस पर हाथ रखेंगे तो ये नज़र आ जाएगा कि आपका हाथ नीचे है और नूर ऊपर चला जाता है। अब जाए दूसरा हाथ रखें, यही नजर आएगा। अब चीजें रखते रहें, दुनिया की सारी चीजें नीचे रह जाएंगी, नूर ऊपर रहेगा। शायद रसूल अल्लाह के ज़हन में अजमत हुसैन था कि पूरी दुनिया कोशिश करेगी कि अजमत हुसैन दबा दे, मगर पूरी दुनिया की कोशिशें नीचे रह जाएंगी और अजमत हुसैन ऊंचा रहेगा। That no matter how much the whole world tries, their efforts will be left on the ground, but the greatness of Hussain will remain high. And history, it testifies towards this. Because time after time, people would come into power and they would try to extinguish the name Hussain. Al-Hajjaj bin Yusuf al-Thaqafi, he came into power after Yazid. 2 people after Yazid, he comes into power. He's the governor of Medina. And you know how on Eid al-Adha, people usually sacrifice goats? He says, I will sacrifice anyone named Hussain. And he would kill every child named Hussain. People have come like this. Look at Mutawakkil. Mutawakkil, how many times he tried to destroy the shrine of Imam al-Hussain. He even said this, that if somebody goes on ziyarah, cut their right hand. Cut their right hand, and if their right hand was already cut from going, cut their left hand. If they didn't have a left hand, if 2 of them go, kill one of the 2. These times they've come and gone, but Imam al-Hussain remains. He remains. No matter how much they try, they cannot lower the status of Imam al-Hussain. One salawat ala Muhammad. Our salawat ala Muhammad. That no matter how much they tried to destroy the shrine of Imam al-Hussain so many times, but look in Iraq today, who has the biggest of the shrines? Where are their shrines? And look at the palace of Imam al-Hussain in Iraq today. You know, I think I've said this statement before, but बादशाह को क्या चीज़ें उसको बादशाह बनाती हैं? उसके पास मकान होता है, उसके पास खाना होता है, उसके पास कपड़े होते हैं, उसके पास गुलाम होता है। मगर अगर ये चीज़ें इंसान को बादशाह बनाती हैं, हुसैन से बड़ा बादशाह कौन है? जितना खाना तबर्रुक के हुसैन में बढ़ता है, इतना खाना किसी बादशाह के पास नहीं है। जितने गुलाम इमाम हुसैन के पास है, इतने गुलाम किसी बादशाह के पास नहीं है। और अगर बड़े से बड़ा बादशाह हो तो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा उसके कपड़े इटली से आते होंगे, उस पर अरमानी लिखा होगा। मगर हुसैन से बड़ा बादशाह कौन है जिसके कपड़े सीधे जन्नत से आते हैं? So you can never overcome Imam al-Hussain no matter what. The second point, why the Prophet compares Imam al-Hussain to Noor, is that Allah in the Quran says that He will protect Noor. That Allah has taken the responsibility to protect Noor. In Surah 61 verse 8, Allah says, يُرِدُونَ لِيُطْفِئُوا نُورَ اللَّهِ بِأَفْوَاهِهِمْ. That they try to extinguish the light of Allah with their mouth. وَاللَّهُ يُتَمُّ نُورِهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. And as much as the disbelievers, the kuffar try, they will never be able to extinguish the light of Allah. The second reason which the ulama bring forth is that the Prophet compared Imam al-Hussain to Noor, is that Allah Himself has said that He will protect Noor. That if this azadari, if the zikr of Imam al-Hussain is alive, it's not because we're having majalis, it's because Allah has protected the zikr and the azadari of Imam al-Hussain. When we spread the farsh azad, we are not keeping the remembrance of Imam al-Hussain alive, but the remembrance of Imam al-Hussain keeps us alive. You know, one alim used to say that ये तसव्वुर में ना आए कि हम जिंदा हैं, हम मुर्दा की मजलिस में जा रहे हैं, बल्कि ये सोचे कि हम मुर्दा हैं और हम जिंदा की मजलिस में जा रहे हैं. Because what we gain from these majalis, what we gain through Imam al-Hussain is life. We gain life. यहाँ पर आबे हयात बढ़ता है. मुझे मीर अनीस के 6 मिसरे याद आ गए कि क्या औज है, क्या रुतबा है इस बज़्म अज़ा का. क्या औज है, क्या रुतबा है इस बज़्म अज़ा का. गुल अर्श से है पर्श तलक सल्ले अला का. पानी में भी है मजा या के आबे बका का. पानी में भी है मजा या के आबे बका का. मुश्ताक है फिर दो से बड़ी या की फिजा का. दरबार मुअल्ला है वली इब्न वली का. जारी है ये सब फैज़ हुसैन इब्न अली का. Ourselves to the zikr of Imam al-Hussain, we become alive. Look at history. Look at Toa, that she gives water. She provides a place for Muslim bin Aqil. And even today, we know the name Toa and it's recited in our majalis. Why? Because she attached herself towards Imam al-Hussain and she remained alive. Look at Hazrat Hur. Hazrat Hur, from one night, he went from being somebody who would have been la'een towards becoming alayhi salam. But what changed in his life? Have you ever thought about that? What changed in his life? Everything was the same. All the fasts were there, all the prayers were there, Hajj was there. Everything was the same. On the day of judgment, his actions would have been the same. But the only thing which changed overnight is that he added Hussain into his life. And that changed his destiny forever. That changed his outlook completely. So this is the second reason why Imam al-Hussain was compared towards Noor. The third reason why Imam al-Hussain is compared towards Noor, the ulama say, is that you can keep taking from Noor, but Noor will not decrease. If you have a candle, you light a second candle with it, does the first candle decrease? No. You can keep lighting as many candles with it as you can, and it will not decrease. This is what Imam al-Hussain is. So many have come as Hur afterwards. How many revolutions have started after Karbala? Somebody used to say that Har inqilab ki bismillah ka naam hai Karbala. Har inqilab ki bismillah ka naam hai Karbala. That all these revolutions, they came after Karbala, but none of that diminished the greatness of Karbala. The status of Karbala remained in the same way that when light spreads, light doesn't decrease. I remember Joshmali Wadi used to say कि करबला अब भी हुकूमत को निगल सकती है. करबला अब भी हुकूमत को निगल सकती है. करबला तख्त को तलवों से मसल सकती है. करबला खार तो क्या आग पर चल सकती है. करबला वक्त के धारे को बदल सकती है. करबला कल्ले पोलाज जर्रारों का. करबला नाम है चलती हुई तलवारों का. सुभान अल्लाह, सुभान अल्लाह. That Karbala is the name of those swords which are still moving today. That Karbala, no matter how many things start from Karbala, Karbala will not diminish. giving and its greatness will remain. You know, even towards the status of the prophets gained from Karbala. Allama al-Majlisi in Hayat al-Qulub, Allama al-Majlisi, he narrates that when Prophet Ibrahim brought Ismail, when the time came to Zibah, to sacrifice Ismail, Prophet Ibrahim, when he was replaced with a goat, with a ram, Prophet Ibrahim, he spoke to Allah. And he spoke to Allah and he said, Ya Allah, I was denied this reward. Why was I denied this reward? The reply from Allah comes, O Ibrahim, who is loved more to me than Muhammad? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says, who is more loved to me than Muhammad? O Ibrahim, do you prefer your sons or the sons of Muhammad? He replies, the sons of Muhammad. He said, then Allah narrates what happened to Imam and Hussain to Ibrahim. And Ibrahim, he began to cry. He began to cry after hearing what happened to Imam and Hussain. The reply comes in from Allah that, O Ibrahim, since you shed a tear for Hussain, I am giving you the same reward as if you sacrificed Ismail. Look at one tear for Imam and Hussain is giving Ibrahim the same level of reward he would have gotten if he sacrificed Ismail. It was his ransom. This is Imam and Hussain. He is Misbah al-Huda. He is Safinatul Najat for everyone, from the biggest of the prophets towards everyone who came afterwards. Now the question comes up, is that when the Prophet says Safinatul Najat, is how do we make Hussain Safinatul Najat within our lives? How do we do that? Because if you stand outside the ship and look at it, you're not going to gain salvation. But when you board that ship, that is when you gain salvation. That's when you gain Najat. And there are three ways. Number one, you learn what Imam and Hussain has said, and you practice on that. The second is you do the zikr of Imam and Hussain. You carry out the remembrance of Imam and Hussain. And the third is you do the azadari of Imam and Hussain. Because the Imam of our time participates within this azadari. You know, there's a story of Sayyid Mahdi Bar al-Ulum. One day Sayyid Mahdi Bar al-Ulum, he was walking and there's people doing matam. Sayyid Mahdi Bar al-Ulum, he goes, he throws his turban, he rips his shirt, he starts doing matam with them. They ask him, they say, you're an alim, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? He replies to them by saying, how can I not do what I saw the Imam of my time do? He said that I saw Imam al-Zaman with his shirt ripped doing matam for his grandfather. And this is when that tragedy of Karbala, it began with the departure of Imam and Hussain. But before I go into those masayib, this is also a majlis for the shahadat of our seventh Imam, Imam Musa al-Kazim. That Imam who went from prison towards prison. Imam, he was taken from Medina to Baghdad. Then he was taken towards the prison of Fazl bin Rabi. But then there came one prison, the prison of As-Sindi bin Shaykh. You know what the prison of As-Sindi bin Shaykh was? It was a hole in the ground. The Imam, he couldn't even move his arms all day, all night. He had to stand in there. They would put a rock on top. Imam, he didn't know the difference between night and day. And he would ask the guard one question. He would say, at least tell me that it's time for namaz so I can pray. Imam al-Kazim, he spent his days in that prison until one day one of the Shia of Imam al-Kazim, he comes, Ali bin Yaqteen. He says, oh Imam, your followers, they're waiting for you. We make that same dua for the Imam of our times. Ya Imam al-Zaman, al-Ajal, al-Ajal. We're ready, we're waiting for you. Ali bin Imam replies to Ali bin Yaqteen by saying, oh Ali, you will see me on Friday. Ali bin Yaqteen says that I thought that meant I would see Imam al-Kazim alive. When I went towards Baghdad, I hear a call on the streets that come collect this body on the bridge of Baghdad. He says, I go there and I saw the body of Imam al-Kazim laying on the bridge of Baghdad. But the beginning of this tragedy, it begins in Karbala, when the caravan is leaving Medina. Imam al-Hussain, he's called into the house of Walid to give bayat. Imam Ali goes to that house, but before he goes, he gathers the children of Bani Hashim. He gathers Bani Hashim and he says to them that if you hear my voice raised, come outside, because that means my life is in danger. Imam, he goes, he talks to Walid. He's talking to Walid, then he raises his voice. All of them come inside and they take Imam away. They take Imam away. शायद इस वाक़या की अहमियत इमाम को उस वक्त ज़हन में नहीं आई थी, मगर जब दश्ते बला में इमाम दश्ते बला में तन्हा थे और आवाज़ दी हल मिन नासिरिन यंसुरना, अजब नहीं है कि इमाम को ये वाक़या याद आ गया होगा कि मैंने आवाज़ बुलंद की थी और मोहम्मद मेरे साए में आ गए थे, अब्बास तलवार के साथ आ गए थे, अली अकबर आ गए थे, आज मैं आवाज़ दे रहा हूँ कोई नहीं आता है। इमाम घर जाते हैं, सफर की तैयारी का हुक्म देते हैं। अब इमाम कहाँ जा रहे हैं? वो नाना की खबर अलविदा के लिए जा रहे हैं। नाना की खबर फिर जाते हैं और कहते हैं ए नाना, आपका हुसैन आया है, मैं जा रहा हूँ नाना, मैं वापस नहीं आऊँगा। शेख अब्बास कुम्मी रिवायत करते हैं कि इमाम रो रो कर तकरीबन हालम गश में आ गए थे। उस आलम में इमाम ने रसूल अल्लाह को देखा, कहा ए नाना, आपकी उम्मत ने इतना सताया है, नाना आप अपने साथ ले चलो। शायर नज़म करता है कि नाना के शब्बीर सर नाना के सीने से लगाया, शब्बीर ने सर नाना के सीने से लगाया, रोकर कहा जिस दिन उठा आपका साया, नाना की कसम चैन कभी हमने ना पाया, अब ले चलो साथ कि उम्मत ने सताया, ना जाने दो सफर में, रहने दो वतन में, हम तुम रहेंगे एक कफन में और एक खबर में। वो बोले कि क्या वादा वफा कर चुके शब्बीर, वो बोले कि क्या वादा वफा कर चुके शब्बीर, सर को मेरी उम्मत पे फिदा कर चुके शब्बीर, क्या लाशे अकबर पे बुका कर चुके शब्बीर, नेज़े के तले शुक्र खुदा कर चुके शब्बीर, क्या ऊंट से लाशे पे तेरी गिर चुकी ज़ैनब, क्या कूफे में खुले सर फिर चुकी ज़ैनब। इसके बाद इमाम हसन की खबर पर जाते हैं, कहते हैं भैया खुदा हाफिज़ मैं जा रहा हूँ। फिर उसके बाद फातिमा तो ज़हरा की खबर पर आते हैं, कहते हैं अम्मी मैं जा रहा हूँ। अजब नहीं है कि उस खबर से आवाज आयो, ए हुसैन तुम अकेले नहीं जा रहे हो, मैं तुम्हारे साथ जा रही हूँ, मैं तुम्हारे साथ करबला जा रही हूँ। अला लानतुल्लाह अलल कौमिज़ ज़ालिमीन सयअलमु अल्लज़ीना ज़लमू अय्युम
Ya Hussein.